We actually have Thurion Horus. What an innovation that is. Flaunderies, Unchained. You know, all of these cool decks out here that are getting the chance to shine are absolutely amazing. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. We'll be starting off here with the 1923 championship. Yeah, that's actually a name. So this is going to be a 3v3 result here where, you know, you're going to be having each team have 3 people. It's an interesting way that they handle things out here. But we had 3 Rescue Ace duelists in the top cut. And on the first place team, actually, there were 2 Rescue Ace decks. So I think that's actually hilarious at the end of the day. We had 2 Labyrinth on the follow-up. I'm not too surprised about that. We had Scareclaw, purely the Thurion Horus pile, which I'm still very intrigued by that. A 60 card pile, and of course, Tier Elements, Flaunderies, and Unchained. You know, if you're not shocked by, you know, the difference of, you know, one-ofs and, you know, things like that out here that can be carried by the team, or can actually have success, I think that's actually one of the most important things to kind of take note of is, you know, the turnover rate for something. So let's pass on over to deck list. So, our first place team here, our first Rescue Ace deck, is playing the Synchro package with the Auroradon shenanigans. Now, we've seen this come down to be a little bit or hit or miss with some of these builds. Pure feels like it has been a little bit ahead of the curve versus a lot of the more standardized things that I feel like that we've seen at this point in time. So good stuff there. Our next list here, still playing the same Synchro package out here. So it looks like both duelists did take full advantage of that, and I don't really blame them. Once again, you know, when you are seeing the curveball advantage you're getting with the Synchro package and the ability to set up, you know, negates on the field, your opponent's going to have a really hard time outing these things. And then we have our Scareclaw duelist out here putting up with Tri-Brigade stuff. Now, we haven't really seen a lot of Tri-Brigade stuff get the chance to shine. Honestly, it feels a little bit more like an abnormality that, you know, this is kind of falling into place here. But to say the least, this first place team, very, very, very powerhoused. Then we have Purely down here playing Dimension Shifter, or excuse me, we're playing Dimensional Fissure. Okay. That's an abnormality in and itself. I haven't really seen a lot of Dimensional Fissure seeing play in Purely, but okay. Interesting. And then, of course, SP Little Knight and the rest of the whole little draw house that you're used to seeing here. And then, of course, we have Labyrinth here playing the 1 copy of the Labyrinth support, the Transaction Rollback, and the Ice Dragon's Prison in here as well. Honestly, the new Labyrinth card, it kind of feels like it missed in certain points of the format. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but it does show that there is room to still evolve in the metagame. And we have our Thurion Horus deck. This deck is hilarious to me because you're just rank 8 turbo, and as many packages as you can shove into this deck to make sure that you can, you know, end the game. And all the rank 8s are just going to be massive outs to so much of the meta. So this was actually amazing to see. Next up here on our next team, we have our 60 card pile. So this is going to be Punk with the Assault Synchron package with the super heavy scales with Grass Looks Greener. You're just going to mill, facilitate all of this advantage tree. You can. We are playing the Doomsday Horror in here, along with Necroface, giving you the ability to tear through the opponent. Alright, next up here we have Tier Elements with the Revolution Synchrons in here. This has been a pretty standard deck out of the OCG, where they've been, you know, just taking full advantage of, you know, everything that you can based on the results from this. And I like what I'm seeing here. The deck still feels very, very standard. The Water Enchanters package definitely opens up some interesting doors. And our last list for this team playing another Rescue Ace variant. Once again, you see, you know, the Auroradon Synchro package. So every Rescue Ace build that we saw out of this tournament, all is going to be playing the Synchro packages to make sure that you can climb up all of these ladders and then pressure your opponent as much as you can. I mean, if it's the best deck in the room, you're going to take advantage of it, right? And then, of course, we have Labyrinth here, not even playing the new card. No, we don't even need. You do see the Chimera down here as well, just pressuring the metagame. And I think that that is hilarious at the end of the day out here, just how good, you know, these little innovations you're getting. Transaction Rollback continuing to be a meta-defining card. And then, of course, Flaunderies out here playing Pot of Extravagance, the 1 Prosperity, and the triple duality for the filtering options, double M pen with the Mega Riser for the interruptions. This feels pretty standard, honestly. I can't see anything out of left field here that looks too bad necessarily. And the last list for this team is our Unchained list here. Pretty standard right off the bat. I do like the tour guide into the Fiendish Rhino. That's been pretty good. The SP Little Knight and the Typhoon giving you some pretty amazing spot removal options here. Outside of that, yeah, there's nothing too crazy for this. Now, we are going to pass it on over so you can take a look at the Moonlight Championship. Our Moonlight Championship here is another 3v3 event. Now, this time, Branded is on top of the food chain here, actually being the highest represented deck. And I'm actually kind of surprised about that. To be honest with you, you don't really tend to see that all that often. And then, of course, only 2 Rescue Ace variations out here. But don't worry, Rescue Ace is still one of the top contenders in the room, as per usual. And then, of course, we have 2 Labyrinth Duelists. Okay, so Labyrinth is still holding up on the meta, doing the standard meta things. We also have Tier Elements Invoked. Invoked, really? Okay. We have standard Pendulum good stuff, and trust me when I say this, these Pendulum decks get more and more interesting. We also have Exosister and Phantom Knights as well. So your one-ups are pretty different from looking at the 1923 championship to this. But to be fair, the 1923 was out of Korea and this is back in Japan, so different countries, different play styles for the metagame, so not too bad. Let's pass on over to deck list. Starting things off here is our Rescue Ace, Auroradon, Synchro shenanigans. I swear we just saw this a couple of minutes ago out here, where you're like, huh, you know, like the Lines of Innovation, the Synchro plays, it is pretty much going to be the same powerhouses at the end of the day here. People are going to be taking advantage of the Synchro package because it is the nuts. Our Labyrinth list here for this team is playing the one of New Servant here. We are playing the one Furniture. We are playing the Red Servant as well. You don't tend to see a lot of people trying out the Red Servant. We are playing double Typhoon, double SP Little Knight, mainly because, you know, we are taking advantage of Pot of Extravagance to make sure that you can get the filtering options that you really need for this deck. Yay, draw power. And then we have Branded with Diabell Star. We are actually getting away with playing Diabell Star in this for the filtering options for the protection on the spear. That is beautiful. Diabell Star is such a broken card, man. Like, card has warped so much. And then, of course, we have our other Rescue Ace deck. Now, this strips out the Auroradon package, but we still are playing the Diabell Star stuff, so you can get to the good old Hydrant here. But the good news is, a lot of these builds have shaved off a Hydrant, which means one less Hydrant that you're technically going to need to buy if you're going to play the Diabell Star package with this. And then, of course, we have our Tier Elements Duelist, 1 Revolution Synchron with the 1 Herald. Very interesting tech choices, but at the end of the day, it should get the job done. I see that we are citing the 1 Grass Looks Greener in case, you do need to mill off just a few cards, but you have so many one-ofs in this deck that you're going to be able to just detour the opponent. Your opponent's going to be like, what in the world is going on here? And then, of course, we have our other Labyrinth deck. Now, this one's taking advantage of 2 of the New Servant, and we are playing a Phoenix Wing Blast in here as well. That's actually interesting. I didn't actually consider Phoenix Wing Blast as a card that you would necessarily want to try and play, but if it's working itself out, I mean, nothing wrong with that. Next up here for our 3rd place team, we have our Invoked Diabell Star deck with the Shaddoll stuff. So this is what I would consider like the standard now for this. You're obviously going to need to play Shaddoll cards. That way, you could put Winda up. And Winda is still one of the best floodgates that you can actually have. So not too bad at the end of the day. And then, of course, we have our Pendulum deck here. Well, this is actually pretty standard. We are playing the Exceed the Pendulum. Triple copies of the Supreme King Starving Venom Dragon, because you contact out with it, set it up, and your opponent's like, all right, well, I can't actually do anything with this. Copying monster effects is so crazy. And of course, you can Scythe Lock your opponent in this format. And of course, I see that we are playing our other Branded list here. See, this is pretty standard. We are playing the Expulsion to hand it on over to our opponent. The build does have to rely a little bit more on other extra deck options to make sure you can set up and play the game, which is pretty standard, but I like this list. This is not too bad. Our 4th place team here is playing Exosister with the Spirit package. We're not playing Aratama. we're just dedicating our slots to the Sagitama for the additional normal, which is fine. I guess if you're really worried about like Droll and Lockbird or something like that, or being stuck on the spirit monster itself, that would be the issue, but I think you've got some room to improve this. Then, of course, we have our Phantom Knight Diabell star deck. Do we even call this Phantom Knights, considering the amount of cards in here? We are playing the one Snake Eyes down in the side deck, so that's become a pretty standard norm at this point in time, that you do get the little bit of the shake up on that, but outside of that, list looks pretty standard. And then, of course, we have our other branded list. So much branded out of this tournament, man. Now, this list feels a little bit standard as well, at least for what they can do, but no Expulsion. Very, very interesting to see that this duel has just opted to not play that. So that's everything that we have out of these two events. So please, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.